Amen Thompson just keeps getting better. It was only a few months ago, just before the season started, that I made my last video on Amen, in which I called him the best athlete in the league, which he is. He's 6'7" with as quick a first step as you'll ever see from a man of that height, unthinkable full court speed, a vertical leap that easily clears 40 inches, and elite body control, change of direction, and overall agility. Nobody moves like him. In that last video, I gushed over Amen's one-of-one skill set and immense potential and guaranteed that he'd be a star. But already, I have to rave about him some more, because in year 2, the young Rocket has taken a sizable leap. Amen emerged as a strong 6th Man of the Year candidate very early this season, but it's in his recent stretch as a starter that his production has really jumped off the page. In 12 games as a starter, Amen has averaged 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists per game on sparkling efficiency, 62% true shooting. But believe it or not, his impact is far more impressive than even those numbers indicate, because it's the defensive end where Amen is most valuable. He is a one-of-a-kind athlete, and when you pair that unmatched athleticism with a high motor and good instincts, you have the key ingredients for a special defensive player, and that's what Amen is in only his 2nd season. Throughout last year, I maintained that Amen's defense would be his foundation as a star and said that he had clear potential to be the best wing defender on the planet. And remarkably, he's already on that shortlist. Amen immediately made it clear this season that he needed to see the floor more because of his defensive impact, as he and Tari Eason formed the most menacing bench duo in the league, wreaking havoc for opposing offenses. But lately, Amen's defensive production has become even more eye-popping. As a starter, he's averaged 2 steals and 2 blocks per game. Only 2 non-bigs in NBA history have ever posted those numbers over a full season. On the year as a whole, Amen is one of just 8 players in the NBA averaging over a steal and over a block per game, but his defensive impact goes far beyond the box score. Players shoot just 39.3% from the field when guarded by Amen, nearly 7% worse than their average, and that is the 2nd best number out of the 150 plus players who defend at least 10 shots per game. Amen is a nightmare to score on, and I honestly really struggle to see how you could keep him off of an all-defense team right now. He's probably the best on-ball shot-blocking wing in the game, and specifically as a trailing defender out of pick and roll, he's the most menacing guy in the league. He navigates screens extremely well, especially for a 6'7" player. Look at him deftly avoid making contact with DeAndre Jordan here with this quick burst, and that makes him very difficult to separate from. So he's able to lock onto the ball handler and apply intense back pressure, and then if they attempt to put up a floater or a layup, there he is with his 40+ inch vertical, 7-foot wingspan, and phenomenal timing to swat it away. If Amen is on your back, you're never safe. His ability to make recovery blocks is also exceptional. He appears to be beat here, but I think he might actually have been baiting Trey Murphy into this take just so he could levitate in and erase it. Here, Ja creates separation by fully knocking Amen off balance, but he is still able to quickly get up and fly to send this shot forward to himself to then get out in transition. On an island, Amen is nearly impossible to score on. Across his 2 seasons, players have shot 15 of 58 when they go at him in isolation. That's just over 25% from the field. You're almost certainly not going to get a step on Amen because he's so quick, but if you somehow manage to, he's very likely going to rapidly recover and erase that advantage. And if you just try to shoot over him, well, he somewhat routinely smothers jump shots too. He's just too quick, bouncy, and long to ever feel comfortable around. Those same athletic traits also make Amen one of the best helping rim protecting wings in the NBA. Inside of 6 feet, players shoot 10% worse than their average field goal percentage when challenged by a men. That's the 5th best number of the more than 150 players shorter than 6'10" who defend 3+ shots at the rim per game. That's a group that includes some centers, mind you. Amen also has the confidence to freestyle a bit defensively. He sees that Kispert is head down and committed to driving here, so he just leaves his man, who's out of Kispert's eye line, to sneakily trail him on the play and blocks this from behind. Again, Amen notices Bane seems to have tunnel vision here, so he drifts over to him, and the second Bane leaves his feet, he obliterates this from behind. Here, he just leaves his man in the weak side corner to follow LaMelo because he knows there's no possible passing angle to get his man the ball, and he smothers this shot. These are aggressive defensive plays, but they're impressively calculated gambles. Amen only leaves his official responsibility when he's confident that he won't be punished for it, and that calculated aggression allows him to make some spectacular defensive plays that others wouldn't dare to. Amen is also simply always active, as are his hands. He pokes the ball out once, the ball handler resets, then he gets those long arms in there again, and now you're off to the races. No entry pass is easy around Amen, nor is any laydown pass if he can get his hand in there. The dude is just a psycho energizer bunny who never gives up on a play. That also makes him an awesome transition defender. He's probably the fastest full court player in the league today and is a monster when it comes to delivering chase down blocks. This play captures just how incredible Amen's combination of athleticism and effort really is. This clip boggled some minds a while back because of how quickly Amen just erases this sizable head start to knock this ball out of bounds. It doesn't seem possible. Amen is such an alien that sometimes it only feels adequate to use supernatural language when describing his athleticism. On that play, he teleported. On others, he levitates. He's a complete outlier. And that absurd athleticism is, of course, the foundation of Amen's blossoming offensive game too. I've said for some time that Amen has the potential to be the best transition player in the NBA. And I believe that. He's not far off as it is. Amen is a 93rd percentile frequency transition player, so he gets out in the full court all the time, and he shoots nearly 72% from the field in transition. Sometimes he literally just outruns everybody down the floor, and he runs the floor hard with or without the ball. But even if you do a decent job of getting back, Amen is a problem with a full head of steam. He's an exceptional ball handler for 6'7", and when you're both moving at full speed and there's a lot of space to attack and he's way faster than you, he can just hit this little hesitation, then cross to attack the other direction, and he's got you turning in a full circle and you can't stop him. Even in semi-transition, if he sees an open paint, he can hit you with this in and out dribble, then hit the turbo boosters, and you are not staying in front of him. But what's just as impressive as his ball handling is his paint footwork and his deceleration. Amen can transition from light speed to a controlled Euro step or inverted Euro step like that, then just hang in the air and hit a floater over you. Legitimately, nobody can stop this stuff, and Amen knows it. He is aggressive in transition. It also helps that he plays for one of the best teams in the league at turning defense into transition offense, and of course, he's a big part of that. So Amen will always be at his best offensively in the full court, but he knows how to weaponize his athleticism in the half court too. Amen might already be the best cutting wing in basketball. He ranks 4th among all wings in points off cuts this season, but the 3 players above him all play substantially more minutes and have substantially larger offensive roles. None of them come close to matching Amen's sheer explosiveness as a cutter. He's not even on screen here when he starts this cut from the weak side corner, and next thing you know, he's soaring in to finish this lob. Amen has excellent feel on these backdoor cuts, and if you get the ball up in the vicinity of the rim, he's as good a lob finishing wing as there is in the NBA. But he doesn't need the running start. He's an elite true dunker spot finisher too. Give him a sliver of a window and Şengün and Amen can connect on a lob like this. So his cutting is exceptional, but there are other ways to tap into Amen's athleticism off ball in the half court too. Occasionally, the Rockets will use him as a screener and have him roll to the bucket, and he's found success there. Amen is also the best offensive rebounding wing in basketball. He averages 2.6 offensive boards per game, the most of any wing in the NBA. He's so quick off his feet, whether it's his first or second jump, either off his own misses or a teammate's, he just skies. So he's already acing the test on how to carve out off-ball value as a non-shooting wing. Cut, crash the glass, be willing to roll. He's doing it all exceptionally well. But where Amen's offensive development has really stood out this year is on ball and in terms of his touch. Amen has significantly increased his volume as a pick and roll ball handler this year and has leapt from 36th percentile to 62nd percentile scoring efficiency there. Amen looks more confident attacking downhill out of pick and roll, and with his athleticism, that's a problem for defenses. Here, he sets up the defender well by looking right, then explodes left and just hangs in the air, unbothered by AD's help and the contact as he finishes this. Amen has been an elite finisher at the rim this year, shooting nearly 74% in the restricted area, and his combination of hang time, body control, and length is a huge reason for that. Look at this shit. He spins off Shaedon Sharpe here, goes right into the body of the 7'2", 280-pound Donovan Clingan, already an excellent rim protector, and just hovers to avoid the contest and finish the and one. Amen has also drawn fouls at an excellent rate this year, attempting nearly 4 free throws a night while he puts up fewer than 9 shots per game, which is a testament to his aggression and the fact that he is just extremely hard to deal with athletically when he's coming downhill. That ability to eat up free throws is a very good thing for any scorer. So because of his freak athleticism, Amen can just get a step outright on certain players and barrel his way to the rim, but his ball handling and paint footwork stand out again in pick and roll. Amen sets up the defender nicely here as Şengün repositions himself as a screener, leaving him one-on-one with Clingan, who he quickly shakes with a nasty inverted Euro and floats this in. Here, Amen again sets up his defender beautifully with the in and out dribble, and then loses Portis with an excellent body fake and another inverted Euro, and gets the bonus foul call as Wright collides with him while he hits the floater. Amen is just so twitchy and explosive that you want to bite on every movement, but he has the handle and the fakes and the footwork to exploit that. And what else did you notice in those clips? Not all those shots were at the rim. Several were from floater range. Amen has shot almost 49% on floaters this season, which is a pretty good number. And overall, he's made 44.4% of his shots inside the paint, but outside the restricted area this year, a 6% increase from last year, while he's taken a lot more of those shots. That improvement is massive for Amen because no matter how good an athlete you are, it's crucial to be able to beat bigs in deep drop coverage with intermediate shot making out of pick and roll. You can't just let them park at the rim and wait to challenge you there every time. But he's showing real growth from floater range. Amen is also showing more from mid-range. He's taking a lot more shots there and has shot 37% on them compared to under 30% from mid-range last year. I want to be clear, 37% is still not a good number, but the improvement is substantial. These pull-ups look comfortable and smooth in a way you just didn't see last year. If Amen can grow to be legitimately solid from mid-range and good from floater range, that's all he needs to be a pick and roll weapon with his athleticism and handle and finishing, and his passing, by the way. Amen is a really good passer. He's got great size, good feel and vision, is creative, and is especially a weapon with these kickout passes. He can just hang in the air, wrap around defenders, and fire passes with velocity in a way few dudes can. His assist numbers are already going up, but I just expect his playmaking to continue to be tapped into more and more. This guy was an elite passing prospect. So on ball, he's developing well, but the one final key for Amen will always be his outside shot. Again, he does everything he can off ball to compensate for his lack of shooting, but it's still a concern if teams can just leave him in the corner and dare him to shoot and he can't make them pay, especially come playoffs when teams will aim to do just that. And while I certainly can't claim that Amen is even an average three-point shooter, he's still bad. He's already shown significant improvement there. As a rookie, Amen shot just 11% on corner threes. This season, he's up above 32% and has already attempted twice as many of those shots as he did in all of last season. If he can get that number just on open corner threes up to about 35% and be willing to take 2 to 3 per game, well then there's no world in which he's not a star. If Amen ever got to be a good shooter, it'd be one of the great development stories in recent league history, but that's certainly not my expectation, and it's not the standard. He just needs to be a below average shooter, just not so bad that it's to the clear detriment of the offense, because he'll pair that with top tier transition scoring and cutting and rebounding and defense and good passing. But even with all that great stuff, I've seen several people express concerns that Amen, with his shooting limitations, could end up with the same issues that plagued Ben Simmons in the playoffs. Simmons was a 3-time All-Star, mind you, but I think Amen is better equipped as a scorer for several reasons. Simmons was never nearly as quick or explosive an athlete as Amen is, was never close to as lethal a cutter, wasn't as aggressive, and never showed any shooting flashes or improvement at all, whereas Amen already has. My example for how Amen can find success as a well below average shooting wing off ball in the half court has always been to point to Aaron Gordon. There are differences, of course. Gordon is a lot stronger, Amen is a lot quicker, but fundamentally, Gordon is an elite cutter and very good offensive rebounder who in his time in Denver has hit just 33% of his 2.7 3-point attempts per game, and he was a top 3 player on a title team. Of course, he plays with Nikola Jokic, a stretch big and the greatest passing center ever, but Amen also plays with a very good passing center and is clearly a more special athlete, and again, he's already producing a very efficient 17, 10, and 3 as a starter. And of course, he has way more on-ball potential, and if he does become an on-ball star, then you're looking at a superstar. But at the very least, the shot is trending in the right direction, as is everything else, and he's just too great at too much to not always be a highly impactful winning player. And although his ceiling is incredibly high, the hype around Amen is no longer all about potential. He is a key two-way contributor right now at 21 years old as a starter for the 2nd seed in the West. In my opinion, he's already their 2nd best player. That is so rare, and he still does have so much room for growth. As I've been saying, Amen is clearly Houston's most prized jewel, and I hope they know it, because he is going to terrorize the league for a long time.